Hello, I'm Sensei Kakuyo, North American contributor for Buddhist or Global. Thanks for joining me for this episode of The Ordinary Buddhist. The title of today's Dharma talk is Warming Up the Car. Before we get into that, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. That way you'll be notified when I post talks in the future. If you wouldn't mind hitting the like button, that'd be great too. I have a confession to make. I am a bit of a freeze baby. In the winter months, I like walking around with a blanket or a hoodie to keep me warm. I generally wear a few more layers than other people when I go outside to work in the snow. And I like to warm up my car for a few minutes before I go out to run errands. Doing this means that I don't have to sit in the car and drive while it warms up slowly. I can just get in and it's nice and toasty. Yes, I do waste a little bit of gas, but I'm okay with that. Now, the nice thing about warming up the car is that it's fairly simple and straightforward to do. Obviously, you just put the key, turn the ignition, and let the heat crank while you're doing something inside. And it's also an effective way to not have to deal with the cold while you're driving to where you're going. Spiritual practice, I find, works a lot like warming up your car in the winter. The goal isn't so much to keep the car warm all the time, you just want to preheat it before you actually need to go somewhere. Similarly, people often make the mistake of thinking that the purpose of spiritual practice is that it's something we can grab hold to when life is challenging. While it's certainly true we can rely on our spiritual practice when life is difficult, in much the same way that we can crank the heater while we're driving the car, it can be wise to preheat our spirituality, relying heavily on the practices before we actually need them. So for example, maybe we have an exam coming up in school. Maybe we're preparing for a job interview. And in these moments, we know that we're okay now, but in the future, our mental health may be a bit challenged. Maybe we'll struggle a bit spiritually and just need a bit of a respite. In those situations, it can be helpful to heat the car of our spirituality by practicing a little bit more than we normally would. More chanting, more bowing, more meditation. By heating up the car of our spirituality before things get challenging, we make for a smoother ride. We prepare ourselves ahead of time so that when things are difficult, we're already ready. And then once we latch onto our spiritual practice in the midst of our difficulties, we already have some momentum going to get us through to the other side. We just have to remember to get up a little bit early, work a little bit harder, and preheat our car. Amitabha.